Much better. Okay, so I'm here with my friend Ashley. We just finished watching Rihanna's Man Down video. You want to tell them a little bit like what the video's about and kind of like maybe how you think this is rhetoric?
The lady, well, not the lady, Rihanna, she goes out, she's out in the town, then she goes out that night. She goes to, I guess, a dance hall. She's dancing. Of course, in the Barbados culture, or in the island culture, they dance very seductively, so she's dancing there. She decides to leave the party. Man follows her, ends up raping her, and then she looks for a gun the next day. She shoots and kills him.
I think that's good. I think that's a good description. I'm not really sure that the guy raped her. You know, obviously they don't show that in videos. It's always kind of like just the you kind of you make the assumption that some kind of sexual abuse happened. But so like okay, what do you think is the rhetoric part of that? How is that rhetoric? How is that a black woman kind of speaking to the world, and what is she saying? She speaks says that.
She, I think what Rihanna was saying that it's, I want to say she was saying it's okay to put things into your own hands as far as concerning what happens to you. You're right, they didn't show her getting raped, but it was heavily implied. So she's saying if a guy takes it upon himself to force himself upon you, you force yourself back upon him, and she chose to do that with a gun. More like a tick for tack, eye for an eye thing. When you listen to the song, she's talking about how she is about to escape from where she's at, run, hide, because she knows that the law is coming for her. She says that because she shot him, she killed him, and although she knows the law is coming for her because of what she did out of anger and shot him, she knew that if she were to have gone to the law to begin with, that might not have ever happened. He might have gotten away. He could have. If she took a shower. There's so many complications on rape cases that he might not have even saw a jail cell. So.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I like what you had to say about like her taking it into her own hands because that especially is important when you put in the context of like black women and the things that they go through daily, and especially like systems like the criminal justice system, like our system of justice really don't make it easy for black women or for women in general to approach them as a victim because they are victimized or stereotyped as, maybe they're slut shamed. She had too many sexual partners. She was dressed provocatively. They're always told, like, women are always told to dress a certain way to avoid certain behavior from men, which is just a kind of outlet from patriarchy. But taking it into your own hands is really a whole different story because that's often what black women, especially, and women in general have to do is take these situations into their own hands and do what's best for them because these systems are not set up for them in the first place. We talked earlier about Marissa Alexander, who's in Florida, and she invoked the Stand Your Ground law to, just firing a warning shot at her abuser and was sentenced to prison time for that. So, like, these systems really are not meant for black women. So when we take it into our hands, it's like a real awareness that this system was already not set up for me. So when she's saying, I'm scared I'm going to get caught by the cops, well, that's because that's what the system was set up for. It was set up to catch, your retaliation, not, your victimizer. So I think that's really interesting. Anything else that kind of stuck out to you, or you thought might have been rhetorically impactful?
Like I said before, she seemed like a very friendly girl. She was just walking around, saying hi to everyone. She seemed like the girl around the way.
Yeah.
Decided to go to the party, and of course, in dancehall culture, it is promiscuous.
Okay.
So, she was having fun. She was doing her thing, and then she left the party, and then everything else happened. One thing that stood out to me was that she seemed like your average girl. She wasn't dressed provocatively or anything of that nature. and it still happened to her because it was not her fault. It was her raper's fault, her rapist's fault. People always say, "Oh, you shouldn't have been drinking. You shouldn't have worn that skirt." Always place the blame on the victim, and victim blaming doesn't solve the problem, and it doesn't even prevent the problem because the problem is in the person who is creating another person, who is making another person a victim, the rapist. So, just the fact that she seemed like an average girl and it still happened to her really stood out to me.
Yeah, I agree. And when you think about that, like average girl, she's in Barbados. You know, what's the average girl in America? And I'm sure the average girl in America isn't really part of a dance hall culture where it's normal or natural to be sexual like that. So when you say, it's just a normal girl, or it's the way she's dressed, and you think about that in a really global context, it really brings a connection for like black women to all of the other women in the global south and second world, and in other countries that are faced with certain amounts of restrictions and victimized based on their status as women. So not only are black women speaking from their perspective in America, because Rihanna has that perspective where she's Barbadian, so she's from Barbados, so she has that global perspective, but she also has this perspective of being living in America for a while and knowing what that the struggles that black women go through here as well. So I think that's a great connection. I think that's a good place to stop. Thank you, Ashley, for sharing with me and discussing with me. We'll be back.